Hello, everyone. Welcome to Flower Power Live. Now, tonight I'm going to talk about a plant that I cannot believe I haven't talked about already because I'm on show number 92. And this is a plant that I use regularly in my kitchen and in my apothecary. And that plant is fennel. So, welcome. I'm Allison from the Well Cultivated Life, and tonight I'm going to share with you some of my favorite tips and information about the plants that I know and love. So we're coming down to later in the growing season. It's September right now, the beginning of September. And so I'm going out to the garden and thinking, wow, there isn't that much stuff left out here that I can harvest, although I do have a few more plants for this fall. But fennel is one that I do grow. And it is an herb that's originally from the Mediterranean. Its name is Feniculum vulgare, but it's spread all throughout the whole world so that the rest of us who don't live in the Mediterranean region can also enjoy fennel. Now, it's a cousin of dill, celery, and lovage. It's in the Apiaceae, sometimes known as the umbellifery family, which is based on kind of the type of flower mostly that they have that's related. And there are two different main groups of fennel, and the first one is the bulb fennel, and this is what we buy when we're in the grocery store, which is kind of a big round bulb on it. And I'll show you a picture in just a minute. And then the other type is a leaf fennel, which is generally used more for like a seasoning herb and putting into salads and things like that. Both of them can be harvested for their seeds, and that is the part of the plant that has the main sort of medicinal properties to it. Now, it's relatively easy to grow. It is considered a biennial, meaning, of course, it puts on its foliar growth in year one and then puts on its blooms in year two. But I had a fennel that I could have sworn it was going to be perennial because it grew and grew into this massive size plant and bloomed, and it was amazing. And then it's gone. So perhaps it is a biennial after all. And I, of course, have to show you a picture of that in just a second. Now, each um, plant puts out thousands of seeds. And so, luckily, I have some baby fennels coming up in my garden this year. So, rather than last week, I had this massive celosia. This year, or this week, I mean, I've got just like a little teeny thing of a few little sprigs of fennel to show you. So, speaking of which, let me just get right to the um, slides here. So this is a fennel when it's in bloom. And one of the unique characteristics of it and some other of the plants in the family, dill, like if you didn't look at this more closely, you might think this was dill. And is this sort of jagged stem where it has sections, noticeable sections that don't grow straight. They kind of zigzag a little bit. And this is some close-up of the flower. Again, looks almost exactly like dill if you did not know. And I love this huge patch down here. Big. It's called the umbelliferae, was the original name of the plant family because it almost looks like a big umbrella. And if you look closely, you can see that each one of these smaller, each little miniature stem with another miniature flower, it's almost like a compound flower, is going to have, gosh, it must have 50 seeds in each one of those. So they are very prolific when it comes to seeds. And again, that's good because we want to collect the seeds. Now, here are two types of the kind of feathery or leaf type fennel. On the left is a regular green fennel, and on the right is what's called bronze fennel. And you can find different varieties of this. This is what the bronze fennel is what grows in my yard. And this is a close-up of the fennel bulb as it's starting to develop. You can see, if you imagine all those stems kind of going straight together, you can see how this definitely is a cousin of celery in the way that the stems attach on the bottom. So that bulb there on the bottom, it's not really a bulb because it's above the surface, and bulbs are generally below the surface. It's not the root, it's actually a big fat stem is what it is. And that's what we would harvest and use like a vegetable. And here I am with my prize-winning fennel picture by the illustrious Kylie Smith. And there's a close-up of the bronze fennel flowers. I'm sitting, I'm not standing, but it was this monstrous bush, and it was awesome. And here is a close-up of the fennel seed that we use, and it's just so cute. It almost looks like a little bug, and it has this kind of stripes in it, and those are kind of I don't know what the shape is, like a convex going around and around the outside of the seed itself. So, a little bit of lore about fennel. In ancient Greece, garlands of fennel were given to victorious warriors, and it was thought to bestow strength, courage, and long life. Fennel was also used to, thinking that it had these properties that could ward off evil, witchcraft, and also was stuffed into keyholes to keep out sort of mischievous spirits out of your bed chambers. But luckily, we have a lot of other things that we can use fennel for other than having to ward off evil spells. However, if you need it for that, you never know. It's wonderful in the kitchen because, like I said, it's edible, it's an herb, and it's also medicinal. So I like to use it in place of celery when I'm making a soup or something like that. And it also makes a delicious addition to salads if you shave it up really small or thin and put it into a salad. But unlike most plants where we are harvesting the leaves, the aromatic leaves of the flowers for use medicinally, in this case, it is the seed that is the medicinal part of the plant that we want to harvest. And it has primarily it's the aromatic constituents. Like fennel, of course, has a somewhat licorice type of a scent and flavor to it, and it's those aromatic constituents that have the medicinal properties. It's mostly known as an antispasmodic, so this means it's going to help with any kind of muscle spasms, muscle tension, and it has a particular affinity for the digestive system. It's also a carminative, which means it helps to with gas and bloating, and as well as just general helping you with your digestion and keeping fluids moving, keeping fluids thin and moving properly. We want to keep things moving through our digestive system indeed. It also has some other uses. It can be used for menstrual cramps. This is the antispasmodic again. And then it's also a galactagogue. Now, no, that is not some kind of spaceship from another planet. I love that word, galactagogue. It actually means that it is for helping the produce more breast milk. And so it is one of these herbs. A lot of times we say, oh, if you're nursing, you're pregnant, don't use this herb, don't use this herb. But fennel is one that is safe for, in general. Anybody can have a reaction, right? But the beautiful thing about fennel is that if you have a colicky baby, you as a nursing mother could drink the fennel tea, and those properties would go into the breast milk, and your child would benefit from the fennel. Well, which this is why they say don't take a lot of herbs while you're nursing, because a lot of these constituents do go into the breast milk. So it's also helpful. You can make a tea and use it as an eye compress for conjunctivitis and just kind of inflamed eyelids in general. And one of the ways that I use it regularly, other than just eating or in a tea, is I like to use it in a cough syrup. It's a very mild expectorant. And for this reason, and because it tastes good, it's a really good a good cough medicine for kids to include. I usually use like ginger and fennel and a few other things in my cough syrup. I make a batch every fall. Now, we generally don't make an alcohol extract of fennel, just because these aromatic properties kind of get, I don't know, diluted down when you're doing an alcohol extract of these types of plants. And so it's most often used as a tea. Now you might make a cordial, like a after dinner. It probably would work well for that because it's good for digestion. And it's also can be used if you've ever eaten Indian food, gone to an Indian restaurant. It's very common to see a little cup of candied fennels on the counter as you leave, and you can take a little spoonful and just toss a few in your mouth. And that is, again, to help you just with digesting your food after you eat. Now, it has Cammie McBride. Of course, since this is a food, I went right to this book, which is one of my favorites, The Herbal Kitchen. She has so many awesome recipes, and she lists fennel underneath as a tea, cordials, honeys, infused honey. You can make an infused ghee, infused oils. You can use it, make it like a seasoning, sprinkles, fennel and salt mix. And also, you can even use it in baths and as a foot soak. Remember, it has these antispasmodic properties, and so it would be really good if you had some like pulled muscles. Give it a try. I wouldn't just dump the seeds right into your bath. You would make a tea and then put that into your bath as well. Now, I did come across from Floracopia, they make a sweet fennel oil. And again, the oil, an essential oil that is made from the seed. And they say that it's both astringent and cleansing and makes a great addition to any kind of blend that you're using for skin. Again, essential oils should be diluted before going they don't go directly on your skin. But if you're making an oil, or even if you were making some type of lotion and you put a little fennel essential oil in there, that would be helpful for your skin as well. And it says that the scent of fennel helps to nourish and restore an optimal mind and outlook, is believed to bring strength and courage in the face of adversity. So it turns out that strength is actually our theme from our card today. But before I get into the card, I just want to talk a little bit about the flower essence. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll get information from several different sources about the flower essence. And I do this, of course, with all of these little sections that I like to share with you in Flower Power. But in this case, I found this really a beautiful description of a fennel flower essence from Flowers for Healing. And what she says is that it gives you the clarity to move on and leave the past behind, and to be able to acknowledge the divinity in ourselves and in all beings. And this is a really key thing because the essence helps you to, again, acknowledge that I may not like what you're doing, but you're going through your learning process that you need to go through. It really has nothing to do with me, and I can respect that and accept that about you. I thought that was really nice. But she talks about the doctrine of signatures, and I mentioned this several times throughout my different shows, how what the plant looks like has in the past helped to inform us humans about what the plant might actually be used for. And she does a great description of what that means for the flower essence for fennel. And one of the main things that she points out is how this stem of the fennel, as I showed you in the other one, has these kind of different levels, right? We're going from this level and up here. Something new happens. Another level here. Something new happens. A new flower, a new leaf comes out. And relates that to the different levels of our life and how we do what needs to be done at this node of our life, right? And when that has completed itself, I put out my flower, I'm ready to go up to the next node and do the next thing. And this is part of what's deciding that what's already happened is good. Now I can go on to the next part of my life. And I really love that. She also talked about the bulb and how those different layers of the bulb, just like a celery, peels off each layer at a time. And it says that when we move on in life, we are able to peel away those experiences we have learned from, but which no longer serve us. So we're able to leave these old belief systems behind. And then, of course, the bulb of the fennel and the seeds are all edible. And I do have some different seeds here I wanted to show you. I don't know if I can tip them without tipping them out all over my computer. But these ones on this side here are the smaller seeds from the bronze fennel. And these ones here are the ones that you usually think of from the standard, go to the store and buy it. These are the ones with a little stripe, look like a little bug. Ooh, yummy. So anyway, the fennel is edible. And so what this talks about is how, again, sort of this leaving things behind and moving on, we're able to digest what we've learned and to really like bring those elements into us. So it helps us kind of digest at this one level, peel it back, move to the next level, and really feel complete about what we're learning and what we're going through in our life from level to level. And then she also talked about one more thing about the fennel plant that the essence helps us with, and that is that this little flower, now these are small because it's just baby plant here. These are small, but when you look at this plant, it's not a big showy flower like the celosia that I had last week or a lot of the other big fancy flowers that we're so attracted to. The pollinators love it, but it's basically saying, even though we have this little flower and it's kind of plain and it's just kind of yellow, it is incredibly complex, and there's a multitude of flowers within one flower. So there's the flower, and that's in a whorl with a bunch of other flowers, and all those little whorls all come together to make this more complex flower. And so what she's saying about that is that it's really important. It also helps us not to judge the people by their outward appearance. Oh, that person's kind of boring. I mean, everyone is, a divine soul. And so we, it helps us not to kind of judge them like that. So I just really loved the way that she went through those. And so I wanted to share that specifically with you. And that again is from this woman, Flowers for Healing is her website. And again, it helps you to get more clarity, to make sure you know where you are, and then move on to the next level, leaving that behind, what you don't need. So the card is from the Green Witch Oracle by Cheralyn Darcey. And again, the word is strength. And what the card says is that Fennel is telling you that greatest strength and positive grounding energy are coming forth, and recommends that you spend additional time with aligned friends, not just anybody, but the people who are aligned with this next level that you're going to. Yet you may be asked to share or teach what you know, but be careful not to overdo it. Like, don't work too hard. Don't try to get out and do everything. Just do what comes naturally. And that there may be an invitation to undertake a new life path. So this is why you want to be with these aligned friends. They're the ones that are going to put you on the right aligned life path. So I love these kind of different aspects of the message from Fennel, which is number one is around strength. And so what this is saying is that Fennel is giving us strength to kind of move on. When opportunities come up, we feel confident and with enough strength to say yes. We have the strength to support us in whatever we're doing and learn and leave these unimportant things behind. But oftentimes, the strength to say no is often just as important, if not more important. What am I going to say no to? Because we hear this a lot of time. Oh, leave that which no longer serves you behind. And it's like, well, how the heck am I supposed to know that, right? There's obvious things, right? There's the obvious abusive, negative things, unhealthy habits, and so on that we know we should leave behind. We don't always. So, fennel is giving us the strength to do that. Now, what about these things that aren't so obvious? What other kind of strength do we need to have? We need to strengthen our intuition, our ability to listen and hear messages from our inner knowing, our divine selves, from God, from inner wisdom, whichever connection you make for yourself. And that means that a lot of times when we think of strength, right? But really, we're talking about this inner strength that can guide us and give us what we need to move forward and leave things behind. Because it's all about not just physical strength, not just heavy lifting, but also feeling strong and confident in ourselves. So that's our message from Fennel tonight. One of my most important plants. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. It helps so much for other people to see the show that they might be interested in. So have a great night, everybody, and I'll see you all next week for another Flower Power Live. Take care, everybody.